Hi, I'm Todd Henderson. Today I want to show you how to install the GatorTrax MX on this 2016 Ram truck. This has the Ramboxes, and whether you have the 5.7 foot bed or the 6.4 bed, the install is going to be the exact same, as well as no matter what GatorTrax cover you have, the install is going to be the same. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, so first thing we're going to do is in our kit, we're going to have 6 mounting block assemblies. This is all the parts for one assembly. So what we're going to do is we're going to have the mounting block. We're going to have the threaded insert. We're going to have a large bolt and a lock washer. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and assemble that large bolt, go through the mounting block after you've gone through the lock washer, and then we're going to just loosely thread it into the threaded insert. Now, the smaller bolt with the smaller washer, after we install the rails, will go into this threaded hole here, but we're not going to do that just yet. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure from the tailgate on the top of the rail. I'm going to pull this out and go to 2 5/8 of an inch. Once I found 2 5/8, I'm going to mark that with a Sharpie. Mark it right on the rail itself. Next, I'm going to go to 24 3/8. Now for my last location, I'm going to pull this out. Depending on the size of the bed, if this is a 5.7 Rambox, we're going to go to 49 inches. If this is a 6.4 Rambox, we're going to go to 58 3/16. This is a 6.4. I'm going to bring this all the way out to 58 3/16. Mark it right here. All right, next we're going to go ahead and slide our plate through this top groove, and the mounting block is going to line right up to the top profile of the track. Now we're going to slide this all the way up to our first marking point. All right, here's the frontmost location we marked. We're going to go ahead and slide the mounting block just to where it's just past and resting on that edge. We're going to tighten that down with a 1/2 inch ratchet. Now we're going to do the next 2 blocks the exact same way. We're going to go ahead and repeat that on the opposite side. All right, now we're going to go ahead and get the canister prepped for the rails. What we're going to do is first, we're going to peel this sticker away that's holding onto this tube. Then we're going to pull this tube out of the canister. This just protects everything during transit so it's not banging around inside there. Next, we're going to take a Phillips head screwdriver. We're going to remove this clamp bracket that holds the canister in place. We can discard that screw. We're going to hold on to the clamp bracket and use that as a spacer. Then we're going to open this up, and slide this out, and we're going to leave this open. Repeat the same thing on the opposite side. All right, now we're going to lift the edge of the blanket up and remove the clamp bracket. Remember, we're going to save this for later to use it as a spacer. Now, also make sure that this is in the open position. That way the rail can slide in without any kind of obstruction. We're going to take the rail, we're going to slide it into the cover. Now this tab right here is going to come forward and line up behind this groove here. That way we can bolt them together. We've got some included screws. Use a Phillips head screwdriver. Put those together. All right, now this hole in the canister will line up to the same threaded hole in the rail. We're going to use the supplied screw. Once we tighten that down, we'll attach the other rail the exact same way. Next, we're going to install our canister cover, but before we do that, I'm going to give you a quick tech tip. We've got some threaded holes that are going through there. You've got some provided Allen head bolts that are going to thread into those locations. Now, sometimes they got a little bit of powder coating that's inside of there. It makes it really difficult to line those bolts up when it's inserted into the rail. So what I do is I go ahead and insert the bolts into that threaded hole first, and I make sure and run that through a little bit just to clear the powder coating out of there. Now we're going to go ahead and slide the canister cover into the rails. We're going to make sure the rubber flap is facing towards the cab of the truck. Once we pop that in place, these holes will line up from the rails to the hole in the canister cover. We're going to insert our Allen head screws that are provided in the kit. Use to provide an Allen key and tighten them down on both sides. All right, now we're going to go ahead and lift this up and set it into the bed of the truck. Next, we're going to gently close the tailgate up to the cover. Make sure we don't strike the rails as we do so. All right, now this is the piece of bracket that I told you to save to the side. This portion of the bracket is a 1/8 inch spacer. We're going to hold that up here, and we're going to slide the rail to the bracket. And do that on both sides to get the spacing correct. I'm going to go ahead and attach the rail to the mounting block. The mounting block here, the hole will be directly behind the oval hole on the rail. We're going to take the screw that came with the mounting block and its provided washer. I'm going to slide that in place. And then once we get it in place, we're going to tighten that down with a 7/16 ratchet. All right, we're going to do the other two the exact same, and then repeat the exact same process on the opposite side. All right, next what we're going to do is every place where we have a mounting block, we're going to measure the width between the inside of the bed rails to make sure that it's all the same width. We've got 45.5. Also 45.5. And 45.5. We're also going to measure the canister cover, and it's all the same. Now, if we had some variance, if it was a little bit wider in the front, then what we would need to do is we need to bring that in, and we've got some included shims. What we would do is we'd place those shims in between the rail and that mounting block, and that would bring that in on either side. If we place a shim on one side, we want to place the exact same shim on the opposite side to make sure everything stays square. All right, now we're going to go ahead and reinstall all the tie downs. Now we can go ahead and peel away the protecting film away from the canister so we can install the drain tubes. Now before we install our drain tubes, we're going to make a hole in the kickouts. On the ram, down in the bottom corner, there's actually a plastic kickout plug that's punched into the steel. So there's just a big open hole right there behind that. What I like to do is I like to take a step bit and just drill a hole. I go to about 11/16 right through the center of that plastic insert. Next, what we want to do is when I take the drain tube, you're going to have some washers with that drain tube. It's just going to slip over top. You want to get the washer past the clips. Once that's in place, then what I like to do first is push the drain tube through the hole. That way I've got a nice clean exit. And then when it clips up in place, when you hear it click, it's installed. We're going to do the same thing on the opposite side. All right, next we're going to go ahead and test the operation of the cover. Now, just to go ahead and give you advanced understanding of this, these are brand new seals, and so they're going to drag across that cover pretty substantially until they're worn in. So figure about 48 hours in sunlight, it should loosen up to where it moves back and forth a lot more easily. For now, I will have to kind of muscle it back to the tailgate to get it closed. Lock it down. Now we're also going to test closing the tailgate up to the cover, and this closes just fine. Now, if the tailgate were to hit the cover, some Rams, the tailgate cap is a little bit higher than on others. What you can do is you can actually adjust the rail on the Rambox. The way you do that is you roll the canister all the way forward, and then you've got some 10mm bolts that hold the rail to the box. You loosen those bolts up and you push up on that rail, and then you tighten the bolts back into place, and that will raise the elevation of the cover just enough to where the tailgate can close underneath the cover. Well, that concludes the installation. If you have any questions, call the experts. We're here to help you out.